Hey everyone, my name is Jeff, John Doe Juggalo. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here today, welcome. If you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, please remember to do so. Hit that like button on this video and that bell notification so that way you get to see all of our conversations. Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be talking about
Chucky Season 3, Episode 6, Panic Room.
Panic Room, yes. So, I didn't actually notice it, even though we have all of the episodes purchased through YouTube, and they show them off by episode and by name. I hadn't actually realized until this week, every episode in this season is named after a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Panic Room. I think one of the episodes was Murder at the 1600. Mm-hmm. So they all have movie names. Yeah. I'm kind of excited because I kind of looked ahead a little bit and seen what the last episode was called. I'm kind of excited about that. I won't say nothing about that, but let's just say I think this season's going to end with a banger. But we're here to talk about this week's episode, mm-hmm. and what did you think of it?
I thought I liked it better than last week's. I thought in terms of like things I didn't like last week, I thought it was done better and it was expanded on a little bit more. And some things I didn't like were even pushed to the wayside. And the things I wanted to see were here in this episode. Like I thought there were great Chucky moments, great Chucky one-liners too. Because last episode he was pushed to the wayside and they focused more on like supernatural stuff or whatever and building off of that. So I like that in this episode. You get more Chucky moments.
Yeah, for sure. The only thing I didn't really like was and this was the only thing that I only noticed, and I only noticed it on a second watch through because I actually watched it live on USA, and then I turned around and watched it again today with you. There was no mention of Tiffany at all. Tiffany wasn't in the episode at all. She wasn't in it much last episode. I'm sure Jennifer Tilly's costly, so they'd be trying to save that money. But she wasn't in it at all. I mean, they literally had a really nice, good character building moment last episode, and were showing her off in jail. So I'm assuming she's going to be a big part for next week because she wasn't anywhere to be here at all. She could have just been like not a character in the series at all, for all we knew.
Yeah.
But besides that, I really enjoyed this episode quite a bit more than last week's. Except last week had that really good Devon Sawa kill. Yeah. And I really dug that, with the eyeballs and everything. Yeah. Were there any kills this week?
Yeah. Yeah, there was one really good one that got a good reaction out of both of us.
Yes, the guard. Okay, so we'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, that was the only kill, though, wasn't it? Because it was a lot of character building and conversations. Because they really built up the first lady, the president's wife. Yeah, they really built her up and gave her a lot of background. Well, not really a lot of background, but they really showed her in the mental distress after her husband had passed. Yeah, and I do wish they would have focused a little bit more on the moment she actually seen him there laying on the floor, rather than. We don't get to see her initial reaction to it. We just see the aftermath where she's sitting on the bed, lighting a cigarette, because she's stressed out, and he's laying on the floor. Yeah. So we didn't actually get to see what her reaction was, but we did get to see how she felt about it later, because she had like a flashback, ghost apparition type of deal.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of that?
When it came to everything with her character, I liked it. I'm glad they they're giving these new characters forefront as well and giving them, making them feel important and not making them just feel like they're here just because we're in the White House. So I'm glad, they were fleshing out, especially her character and, the grief that she's dealing with President's death. So I really liked it. I didn't think it was, I thought it was, a little bit slow. It got to the point where it was okay, I kind of feeling like episode 5 again. We're drawing things out and not a lot of things are happening. But we also have to remember this is the TV show, and it is literally a TV show. It's not
It's not a mini series on a streaming service. This show is on television, so they have to draw certain things out to make it to certain points in the show for commercial breaks and advertisements and stuff like that. So sometimes things do seem a little more drawn out than you would like them to, because this isn't like, this isn't a Chucky movie.
Yeah.
But the production value in this episode was really good, I thought. How do you feel about them dealing with the president's death?
I'm a little mixed on how they kind of like swept the floor with it. I think it makes sense, and but I just thought some of the writing on that was like a little lazy. The decisions, I was like, okay, like really, we're gonna do this.
They tiptoed into conspiracy theorist type stuff. Now, I mean, if it's true, which it might be, we just don't really know. Then I guess it works, but
yeah, like I don't think it's a bad idea to play into it or whatever. But it felt kind of like a cop out. Like, okay, I don't know.
So this right here is a spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler.
They brought Devin Sawa back yet again.
Yeah.
As a president impersonator or stand-in, like a doppelganger. And they said that this isn't the first time the president's died, and that they've had apparition of ghosts, because they said it in the last episode, but they were really emphasizing it on this episode about how the White House has had to deal with apparitions and ghosts and spirits before, and that this isn't the first time they've had to have a doppelganger step in for a president.
Yeah.
So that's what they did. They brought in a doppelganger or a lookalike, and they're going to basically, the way that I interpreted it, because they brought in little medical stuff into a suite and the whole works for him, like medical equipment and IV bags and stuff like that. I think they're trying to make it look like he's getting sick and he's just going to die, rather than he got murdered by a ghost.
Yeah.
That's how the White House is going to play it off for the people. So they brought in this doppelganger, which is not sitting very well with the wife. She ain't digging that.
Yeah. I mean, for obvious reasons, too. But yeah, I mean, to kind of, I guess, to wrap up my thoughts on how they handled that. At first, the first shot when they walk into the room and he's there, I just was like, oh, okay, really, again, the fifth character he's played. I don't know, it settled with me kind of weird, but like, I feel like by the time we got to the end of this episode, it didn't even bother me that much, and I still thought Devin Sawa played the role good. Yeah,
Devin Sawa, honestly, he's such a good actor that he was able to pull off being a doppelganger of the same character.
Yeah.
And seemed different.
Yeah.
Seemed like a whole different person still. So that was very cool. I really enjoyed the way that he did that. I think Devin Sawa was a acting beast, honestly. Because how many actors do you know that can pull that kind of stuff off?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, and do it well, and add the layers to the character. Yeah, I really enjoy his performance with all of his characters, but even with what they did with the doppelganger. And I still like the performance. I just thought the decision was a little sloppy for me, but I think by the end of the episode, I think the decision worked. I mean, it didn't even bother me by the end. It was just kind of like, okay, this is how it is. Like, no, I don't need to meander on it.
I mean, we can't really be that upset about how they went about doing it when the whole series is based around a toy doll that's voodoo possessed. So it's not like it needs to be super realistic to be believable.
Yeah.
In this universe. So I could kind of let that slide. I understand why some people are like, man, I'm tired of Devin Sawa coming back. But he's like the character, he's like the actor that will always have a part in the series. And I'm kind of okay with that. Because he's a good actor, and every time he comes back into a new role, he doesn't seem like he's the same character. Like, he does a good enough job for me that I'm pleased with.
Yeah, he's got the range for sure.
How do you think? How do you feel about what they did for Chucky this episode? I know you were happy that they spent more time and he got more screen time, but what do you think about like his character building and what he did to the younger brother, the first little boy? Or well, Joseph would have been the youngest, right? Or was Joseph like a middle?
Joseph was the youngest.
Joseph was the youngest.
Yeah, he was like little.
Okay, so the middle child, I guess. His relationship with Chucky, or Joseph, is what the kid called him.
I think, like, just to speak on the actors, I think he does a really good job at, like, because you can, like, feel the trauma in him, too, with losing his brother, and he's just, and, like, when, like, at the beginning of the episode, they have, like, a scene where they share the dialogue back and forth, and I thought that built on their relationship a little bit more. And like I said, I just really like the performance that the little kid gives. Like, that's just something that I really do enjoy, is that I can buy into him actually missing his brother. It doesn't feel like, it just feels real, and I like that. I liked how he performed that role, and how he's performed the role the entire season.
Yeah. And okay, so, Chucky got him to do a lot of his, dirty work, like his bidding this episode. But it was 5 episodes that built up to it, because that little kid's been carrying him around for 5 episodes. You know, and building like a trusty relationship, I would say. But he totally got him into the safe. Yeah. With the gun. That Chucky emphasized on yet again that he doesn't like. Chucky has totally said, I don't like guns. Yeah. They're not personable enough. Because he wants to be up in the face with the knife. Yeah. He wants to touch. He wants to do it. Yeah. He don't like the guns. Yeah. But, what did he say? Sometimes you gotta do the job fast. Yeah. And he gets the job done quick. Yeah. So, that was really cool. What did you think about the elevator scene?
Okay, I really liked it. I thought it was good, and another thing, like with the doppelganger, like I liked the whole time he's sitting there super nervous, like you can see the sweat on his face. So I like the tension in that scene, and then when Chucky just whips around the corner and shoots him out of nowhere, like he's just like just out of nowhere. Yeah, and then that's when he has this whole like spiel on how he feels about guns and all that stuff, and then as soon as they walk out of the elevator, one of the guards.
Well, hang on. What about when the scene, the shot? There's a lot of good shots in this episode, with the shots and everything. The elevator, in particular, was really cool. Where Chucky had wrote Chucky was here. Yeah. In blood on the door, and they shot to that before they got out of the. Remember, like they come up and it was there, and then the door opened and they walked out. And then they got to the guard, which was the next point you were getting to. But I really wanted to emphasize, I thought that shot was really cool. Like, with the way he wrote it in blood on there. And, of course, they showed it again later when the kids got in the elevator. Oh. But I really liked it when he was, when they pulled up and the door, and they did the shot, and the door opened. That's when you seen the guard standing at the door, and Chucky and everybody was in the elevator about to walk out. Yeah. That was a really good way to open up that scene, because we get to another really good kill. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah. So they walk out of the elevator, and as soon as the guard, I can't remember the specific details. I think he's about to pull his gun out, and then Chucky shoots him multiple times in the chest, falls over, and then what did he use on his, like, what specific weapon did he use on his eye? Because I can't remember, but it was sick. The effects on that were really good too.
I thought it was just a pen.
It might have just been
I think it was just a ballpoint pen. Yeah. I think because he shoved it in the eye, and then he was like, wait a second, and he shoved it deeper, and shoved the whole thing in there, and the eyeball was all like...
Yeah, I really like that one. I really like that line that he said, too. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was like, so he's going to be fully aware when I do this, and then he pushes it all the way in. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was that was sick. I really like that.
So between that and the Devon Sawa death in the last episode, they're really getting their makeup effects for eyeballs down. Like they're really practicing on that a lot this season. They must have found a good makeup designer that was good with like eye work.
Yeah, because remember in the first episode when I I think the guard's name was like Ted
Mm-hmm.
or whatever when he gets shot, and then you see his eyes just falling in slow motion. Yeah, so they have a thing with eyes this season for sure. With the eye gore and the eye torture. It's cool though. It really is cool.
So they were getting off that elevator, right? And they shot that guard, or they shot the guard, and then the pin to the eyeball.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? You remember where they were going?
Yeah.
At that point, yeah, they were going down there to because he had the president, because it was him, the young son, and the president that were in the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were going to the basement to launch nuke codes.
Yep.
Chucky wants to blow up the world.
Yeah.
So how did that go? Because that wasn't. I really wasn't expecting them to do something like that and go all out, where it was like a nuclear war type thing. But they kind of went that way. Like, they kind of went there in a way. What did you think about that?
Whenever it first cut to that scene, because you heard me, I was like, oh my god, they're really doing this. Like, they're really gonna go all out and do it. I like that. I like that they're actually, like, going that far with it. Like, it feels like the stakes are high for sure when it comes to what they're doing with that. But I really like when they're doing, like, the verification, the different steps, and they need the iris scan, and he pulls out the eyeball of the president that he gouged out in the last episode and uses it on the iris scan. Like, that was, because I was like, how are they going to get this? Because when I said iris scan, I was like, well, no, because he's a doppelganger, it won't be the same. But then he pulls that, because I had that thought for a split second, and then he pulls out the eyeball, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense as to why he did that.
Yeah, because you needed that for the launch code.
Yeah.
And then the doppelganger had close enough voice, I guess, to be able to do voice verification.
Yeah.
So that didn't really pan out, because he was trying to hit 3 targets. He was trying to hit Moscow.
Mm-hmm.
Australia? Was it Australia?
I don't remember what other one was.
And then the North Pole.
The North Pole.
Because he wanted to say that when the world ended and the apocalypse, and it was in, like, the dystopian future when we were in the end times and in the apocalypse and everything, kids would know that Santa didn't exist anymore because Chucky fucking killed him.
Yeah.
And, they were able to abort 2 of the 3 nukes.
Yeah.
Spoilers, by the way. They were able to stop 2 of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped the Moscow and the Tokyo, or whichever one it was. I can't remember exactly where. But they did not stop the North Pole one. And that was funny because somebody come in there and they had shot him, right? They shot Chucky and he fell down, and he was laying there dying, and he pops up and he just goes, F Santa, and hits that termination button. So the one for the North Pole, as far as we know, still gets launched.
Yeah.
And then, major spoiler, Chucky just kind of disappears into ash.
Yeah, he just, like, withers away. Yeah.
All that's left is his shoes, which is weird, because shouldn't his overalls still been there?
Technically, yeah. The overalls still should have been there.
But the overalls might just be more part of his spirit than anything at this point.
Yeah. I didn't even look into that, actually.
I didn't think about it until we were just now talking about it, like, right now. But I do like how it ended, because I think the way that they're going to go about finishing this season is they're going to go on the paranormal aspect to finish it out.
Yeah.
Because how did we end?
We ended with, like, a slow pan from the room into the hallway, and you see the ghost of Charles Lee Ray in the hallway. Which, like, I think that is how, like, they're gonna at least handle these last 2 episodes, is with his ghost and actually having Brad Dourif back into his physical form again.
But Brad Dourif is back, and that is a very smart way to bring Brad Dourif back. Like, he may come back in flesh form or something through, like, a storyline or something, but this makes the most sense to bring him back in spirit. That also brings me back to, they kind of spoiled that with Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
If the show wouldn't have got delayed and the whole show was out, when Chucky launched on Dead by Daylight, we would have already known that Charles Lee Ray had a spirit.
Yeah.
Because they use him to carry the victims in Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, that is true. I didn't think about that either. Honestly.
And now he's in the show. So it's all coming full circle and it's all making sense. And I'm okay with that. Like, I mean, we're in a world with voodoo dolls and exorcisms and stuff. Why can't we have the spirits? And they were leaning heavy into that before they ever said anything about Chucky coming back as a spirit, because they were talking about this isn't the first time we've had paranormal issues in the White House, and the White House is haunted and that kind of thing. So
yeah,
that's pretty neat. I have no idea where they can take it for the next 2 episodes, except for they tried to do an exorcism to bring Chucky back, or Charles Lee Ray back, so that way they could figure out where Caroline's sister is.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can think.
Yeah, I feel like Lexi's gonna be pretty adamant about doing everything she can to get him back into physical form.
Yeah, they gotta find Caroline, right? Like,
yeah, she was pretty. By the end of this episode, that's what she, because that's what she's been trying to do the whole season. But when she realizes he's dead, she's obviously she's really upset because they still have no idea where Caroline is. So I feel like they're gonna play into that next episode with Lexi's character in terms of her really, really trying to get Chucky back. And
yeah, I mean, because I mean, well, at this point, all they can really do is they can have Brad Dourif play Charles Lee Ray Ghost for an episode where he kind of like haunts him and stuff, and then they could like make his spirit go away. But I read in an interview that Don Mancini already had ideas for a season 4.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be smarter for Lexi to want to exorcise him back into a doll or into his flesh, so that way she could find out where her sister is? If they bring him back to the flesh, they can kill him.
Yeah.
But what if that goes wrong? So there's a whole bunch of ways this season can go. I really liked how they ended this episode to set up the rest of the season. There's a couple different ways it can go that all make sense and could all be fun. Yeah.
I'm really excited to see where they can go too. And like expanding on Tiffany's storyline too, because as far as we know, she's still gonna die from lethal injection. She's still on death row. So in terms of her character, I feel like next episode she's definitely gonna be back. I think they just took like the one episode to really hammer in and focus on the stuff at the White House, and I feel like next episode they're gonna intertwine everything again. Because I feel like they've done that on the show before. They've taken like one episode where it's strictly focused on one storyline and then just intertwine them again on the next one. Just to give more focus on a storyline. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. I'm still hoping they do a little bit more with this, like in terms of explaining the stuff with the ghosts. Because, I don't know, I'm still like... I mean, it's like it's a world where there's voodoo and all the supernatural stuff. But still, like, ghosts were never like... really a part of the equation, ghosts themselves. So I'm just hoping there's a little bit more lore explaining, just so it kind of evens things out.
I mean, we only have 2 episodes left. We still have a lot of... To me, I feel like we still have a lot of questions, because, like, Tiffany's on death row, but Tiffany's not going to get death row. She's already voodoo dolling the guards and stuff to get her whatever she wants. So we know that she's going to continue somehow. And also, where is... Glenda.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like at this point, I don't think... They might come back in the next season or the movie that Don Mancini's planning. But I don't feel like they're going to be in the rest of the season because I just don't see where they could, play.
But you know what I mean? Like, this can't end with this season one way or another. Whether we get a movie to kind of wrap up the whole Chucky lore and all that, or we get a 4th season and then a movie or something like that. But there's still some dangling questions within the universe that could potentially get answered, and we could have like a banger of a last hour and a half.
Yeah,
basically a movie worth right now is what we got left.
Yeah.
Unless the season finale is like an extended 90 minutes that they haven't announced yet, but I don't think it is.
No, I think it'll just be the same length as the rest of the episodes.
Which gives us about 80 to 82 minutes, 83 minutes maybe. So about another movie worth.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about it. So, we're definitely going to be watching next week's episode. Mm-hmm. And we'll be coming back here to talk about it again because I'm getting really excited for the way this season's going to end. You got anything else to add to it before we go?
In general, just to wrap up what I thought it was still good. I thought it was a good episode. I liked it more than the last one, and I like what they're doing with pretty much everything. Every direction I feel like is good. Like, I don't think there's anything major that they're doing that I against. I just want more explanation on this ghost stuff and why it's just now playing a role into like the lore and stuff with Chucky. But that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, and they could. Don Mancini likes to take the easy way out sometimes.
Yeah.
They really could just say it's just all because the White House is haunted and leave it at that.
Yeah.
They could. And I'm okay with that too. Whatever. The one thing I did want to mention for myself that I really enjoyed about this episode, and maybe other episodes have been like that, but the lighting in this episode was fantastic. Every time the wife was on screen, like when she was in the room, every time she was on screen, her room was like this color blue.
Yeah.
Like a blue color. And then like when Chucky was on the screen, like when they were in the launch room, over the missile launch room, it was red the whole time. Anytime he was doing stuff, it was red. I really like the way they did that. It reminds me of like old 70s horror, like a lot of Dario Argento type stuff where he likes to use a lot of red and blue lights.
Yeah.
I mean, Don Mancini does too, but this episode, I really just noticed it. It just really stood out, and I enjoyed it. And maybe I've just been missing it. Maybe it's been like that the whole time. But it really was like a sticking point to me this episode. I really noticed it with the emotion and the tone.
Yeah, I feel like the atmosphere definitely is playing a part into how it all looks, how the lighting is, and I think it works with like I said, the atmosphere. I think the colors and everything. I think it just all matches what they're going for in this episode. Awesome.
Well, I'm excited to see where we end up at next week at the end of episode 7.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting close to that end there, guys. But if you guys wouldn't mind, just making sure you hit that like button for us. That way other people can watch it. It pops up in their algorithm. Hit that bell. So that way you can see us next week. We may try to do a live viewing of next week's episode. I think we can kind of get that. We might get that worked in. If we don't, we'll do another curated episode like this. But we are coming back to talk about next week's episode as well because it's just getting better and better and better. So until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.